My name is Patrice Valentine. I am the president at Profusion Web Solutions. This presentation today is the top 6 email marketing challenges and how to solve them. First, let's dive into why email marketing still matters, because if you've been in business for any length of time, you've probably heard the saying that email is dead and that no one's going to be using email anymore. And that's simply not true. Email marketing still delivers the highest ROI of any marketing channel. It helps you build trust, drive sales, keep your audience engaged, and really just keep your business top of mind. The one thing that we love about email marketing is that you, as the business owner, you own that data. So we're a digital marketing firm, so we help customers get on social media. We help you create websites. We help you, make sure that your business looks good. And in anything that we're doing that is external, say social media marketing, the social media platform owns that data. So if we grow your social media following to, 10,000 followers, you don't have 10,000 email addresses. At any point, you can't really send a message to those 10,000 people and say, hey, we're having a sale, or hey, we're having a webinar, for example, because in that example, Meta owns that data. So Meta might know that those 10,000 people like you and they want to follow you and they probably want to hear from you. But you as a business owner, you don't own that data. You can't export it. You can't, find their email addresses and see what they've purchased from you in the past. You don't really have any idea on their demographics. You don't know a lot about what about those 10,000 people. With email marketing, if you're consistently growing it and you're nurturing those leads and you're sending out consistent information, you own that data and you can see how it's helping your business grow. So today we're going to take a look at the 6 most common challenges that we've seen again and again in our 20 plus years of business here, and give you some clear, simple ways to move forward. And before we do that, we do want to get started by looking at the types of emails that we're going to be talking about. So there are, even within the 6 that I have on my screen, these 6 different sections, even within here, there are nuanced and different kinds of emails that we can talk about. But let's just kind of go over the top 6 here. So a cold email is going to be an outreach type email to a new contact that is typically best for business to business. And it is typically a targeted offer. You're trying to create an appointment. You're doing something like that. In these types of emails, and I'm sure you guys have all received them, personalization is key. So literally right before I jumped on this webinar, I got one that was talking about, hey, Patrice, I saw that you guys have done some work for the Whatcom Humane Society. We've helped grow agencies like yours, 10x, whatever. So they go and they take a look at your website or your LinkedIn or your social media, and they grab something that would be personal to you or your business, and they insert that typically into that cold email. I didn't know who that person was, so it wasn't a known person to me. It was someone who was attempting to create a relationship. So those are typically lead nurturing type emails or relationship building type emails or sales driven type emails. And they're more of a one-to-one communication. So that person likely isn't sending that same email out to 5 other people or 10 other people because it's so nuanced and specific to my contact information. Cold emails are not really what we're targeting today. So what we're talking about today is going to be more of the other 5 categories that I have on my screen here. So a text-based email is really just the kind of email that you and I would correspond with on a daily basis. So if you sent me an email and I responded, that's typically going to be what is considered a text-based email. Again, more of a one-to-one communication, but you can use a system like MailChimp or Constant Contact to send out a text-based email, which is why we've included it in our type of email that we're talking about today. I think we're all probably familiar with newsletters, which is more of a kind of broad email that is set on a recurring date that keeps your brand top of mind. So that's really the goal of a newsletter email. A promotional email is meant to drive sales with offers, discounts, or announcements. Best to use these strategically. So if you have a big sale coming up, or you're going to be in an event, or you have, if it's a holiday or something coming up, promotional emails are great to send for those. Transactional emails are the ones that take place when you've made a purchase or if you've left something in your cart. I'm going to include the abandoned cart email in a transactional email. These typically have really high open rates, either because they contain an order number or transaction information that you're going to need to reference later on, or because it becomes something of interest to you, like with those abandoned cart emails, where you're going to want the coupon or whatever they're offering within that email. So these typically have pretty high open rates. So you want to make sure with your transactional emails, we could do a whole webinar simply on transactional emails in talking about how to make sure you use these to the best of their purpose. If they have high open rates, let's make sure that we're sending more than just an order number, that we're sending, the ability for people to follow us on social, incentivizing them to follow us, incentivizing them to share this message by offering a referral code. Whatever we can do to encourage additional interactions, we want to use those in transactional emails. And then the last kind of email that we are going to kind of talk about today is going to be the lead nurturing or funnel type email. And this is the kind of email where maybe you've signed up for a downloadable PDF off of someone's website, off of our website even. So you could go to our website and get the top 6 email marketing mistakes that a small business owner makes, and that might be a PDF. And then as soon as you sign up for that, you're going to receive an email from us with that PDF. And then maybe a couple days later, you're going to get a really specific email on how to create newsletters. And it just kind of continually drips out. You've heard of these maybe as drip campaigns even. It continues to send out information with the intent of, kind of starting off broad with the email messaging and then funneling that and educating the person down into the point where they are ready to buy, or they get put into your general email marketing list there, and then they start sending the more general emails. So those are the types of emails that we're going to look at. Now let's jump right into the challenges that we've seen. Again, what we're going to talk about today is the top 7 challenges. The first one we see is inconsistent sending. You've probably experienced this a little bit, maybe even have done this, where you have your email list and you get it all ready to go and you send out a great email. And then you get busy like other business or like regular business owners do, and things happen and you don't send another email for 3 months or 4 months or a year, maybe. In that time, your audience has forgotten maybe who you are, where they've even met you. They might even potentially mark your email as spam. The longer the silence, the harder it is to jump back in. You end up losing momentum with email marketing, and really you end up losing confidence, because then it becomes that awkward, I'm going to send an email, but these people don't really know, they're not engaging. Is my message even going to hit anymore? And you lose that confidence, and then you don't want to send to that list who previously have raised their hand and said that they were interested in hearing from you. The fix on this one is ideally simplistic, right? So it's create a simple and repeatable plan. Start with one small email per month. Even if that's what you can sit down and write out, one small email per month, you're going to carve out 2 hours the first Monday of every month, and you're going to create that email. Start small, start with something. Once a month is going to be better than doing nothing. And then use scheduling tools. MailChimp and Constant Contact, both of their paid versions of their program, offer scheduling. So you could go in and you could say, okay, how business owners, we tend to be hyper-focused at times. And if you're in one of your hyper-focus modes, you might go in and create 12 email marketing messages. You might go create 1 per every month of this coming year. You can go in, and once you have those 12 messages, you can go schedule those for every, the first Tuesday of every month to go out using these scheduling tools like MailChimp or Constant Contact. There's iContact. There's all kinds of other systems, Brevo, that you can use. Those are just 2 of the more popular ones, but they do have scheduling tools built in, and that is going to be one of your best friends if you're trying to stay consistent with your email marketing. And then on the next slide, we'll talk more about this, but I hear a lot from people is that they just don't know what to send. So we look at, well, we'll just go ahead and jump into this, but a lot of it is, what are people asking you? So what are the most frequently asked questions? When your phone rings at your business, what are people calling and asking you? That's a great thing to turn into an email. Looking at behind the scenes. So if you have a business show, trade show that you're going to, being able to show, here's how we're prepping for our trade show. Here's what we're doing. Here's what we're putting together. People love to see a little bit of that kind of behind the scenes, peek behind the curtain, how the sausage is really made, maybe not specifically, but about your business, to see, how you do things and what makes your business a little bit unique. If you have tips or how-tos, share any type of helpful advice, customer stories. People especially like something that maybe was a challenge or something that was, a little bit dramatic or rocky to start. You weren't sure if the delivery was going to get there on time, and then it got there on time and it was perfect and everything worked out. Any type of customer story or success story, it just helps build that trust and connection that, you've done whatever your business is for somebody else. They liked it. They trusted you to do it. And then it just builds that trust with the person you're sending the message to as well. Obviously, if you're attending any events, talking about where you're going to be at the event, if you're doing anything in particular at that event, if you have a giveaway that you're going to do, talk about that. Encourage people to go to your website and sign up. So send information about any promotions or events that you're running. Blog or highlight videos. We like to say there's a rule of 5. So if you're going to create content, try and use that 5 different ways. So if we just take this webinar, for example, I have this webinar and we have the PowerPoint slides as we're going to turn this into a PDF download so that someone could come to the website, request this PDF download. That will have the webinar as an archive. We will take audio snippets. So hopefully I say something smart that Casey's going to want to pull out and use as an audio snippet. And we'll take that audio snippet and we'll turn that into a reel that we use on social media that you'll see on either our Instagram or Facebook page. We will then typically turn it into an email. So we'll take some of the tips that we'll actually send out as an email marketing piece, and it will likely become a blog post on our website. So we get the most, if we're going to create the content once, why not reuse it and repurpose it for as much as we possibly can? Get as much leverage as you can out of every piece of content you're creating. That's the goal with any content that you're using. And then anything else that you want to include for your email marketing, if you're sending out a newsletter type piece, any personal notes. So a lot of the folks that are on the call today, when I was looking through the registrations, I know a lot of you have been in business for a while and you've seen some things, right? You've seen the markets change. You've seen now tariffs and what's that doing to some of our businesses. And there are things that you can write about and you can put your own quick thoughts, a message from the business owner, and it can be short and sweet and it doesn't have to be, incredibly long, but something that personalizes, that humanizes your brand will help encourage loyalty and provide some personality for your company as well. So those are just a few of the content ideas. I threw that slide in there because I knew that was going to be one of the questions is I just don't know what to write about. And that's the simplest thing. If you need to, take a screenshot of this, and that's 7 different things right there that can be 7 different emails for you. So one can be an FAQ email, one can be a how-to email. So screenshot that one if you're going to screenshot anything today, and you can start getting your email marketing dialed in with those content ideas. Now, the technical setup is the challenge we see. This is our second challenge that we see. And this is probably the hardest thing because it is not something you deal with on a regular basis. It's pretty sneaky because you don't even really know that it's happening. You could go in and let's say you have a MailChimp account that you've been using to send email from, and you send what might be a great email, but your email lands in spam. And it's not because the message, it's not like you're saying, you're not using any keywords that are going to get you flagged for spam. It's just simply that the technical side of things were not set up properly. So anyone that's receiving the email is seeing it as spam and is going directly into someone's spam folder. Even if you have the best email in the world, it's not going to work if it never arrives in someone's inbox. So again, this has oftentimes nothing to do with content and everything to do with the technical setup. If you are sending, we've seen a bit of this still, if you're using Outlook to send your emails and you're simply copying and pasting 50 email addresses at a time in the BCC field, that is going to likely end up, not only have all of your emails end up in spam, but there's good possibility that you're going to get your email blacklisted as well, especially if you're sending to Gmail addresses or Yahoo addresses, any addresses where those email servers, Gmail and Yahoo, where they're seeing a lot of emails coming at the same time from the same email address. So there are things you can do to make sure that your emails are being set up for deliverability. The first one on there is to make sure you're sending from a domain-based email address. If a quick caveat here, if you are sending cold emails, so if you are not sending to people who have signed up for a list, if you're sending cold emails directly where you're attempting to create a relationship, but you don't already have one, you want to be careful if you're sending from your own email address. So I would be careful if I was sending cold emails. I probably wouldn't send from patrice@profusionwebsolutions.com. I would probably send from patrice@pfws or pfwsolutions.com or something similar. So a similar domain name, but not my primary email domain name. Okay. And that's if on the off chance my cold emails get marked as spam and I end up getting my email address blacklisted, then I'm not messing with my my primary email address. Does that make sense? I would be creating a separate email address and sending from that separate email address to the cold emails only. Now, if you're sending to, your customer list or a prospect list of people that you've met at conferences and you know these people, you can send from your existing domain name. Only if you're sending cold, or if you're sending to a purchased email list, we'll talk about that, then you definitely want to make sure you're sending from an alternate domain-based email. Still domain-based, not a Gmail address, not a Yahoo address, still domain-based, but not from your primary account. You do always want to use an email platform with built-in protections and technical setup, like MailChimp or Constant Contact. Again, any of the ones that I mentioned earlier will help walk you through some of these. But there's three different areas or three different records, domain records that you want to set up. One is SPF, one is DKIM, and one is DMARC. I understand that sounded like Greek to a lot of you. It does to me even today, even though I've been talking about this for years now. But those three records basically provide some authentication that when you send your emails, you are who you say you are. The sending platform is sending legitimate emails. If that was super confusing to you and you're like, I don't even know what she just said, send me an email or drop your email address in the chat right now, and we'll send you this email deliverability checklist on how you can go and check to see if your SPF, DKIM, and DMARC are set up properly. Okay, so we have this little handy kind of cheat sheet that will show you where to go to look and see if this is set up. This is one of the major problems that we see in small business sending, is that they don't have these set up properly and they are continually getting marked as spam. Their emails are not being delivered. So this is going to be one of the places where this is as technical as we get today. I promise you that. So request this checklist. We will have it available for a download on our website. It's not up yet. It's just a checklist we've just created. So you guys are the first ones to get access to it. But if you want it right now, drop in your email address. We'll send it after the webinar is done. If not, we'll make it available as a download from our website in the next couple of days. But technical setup, so not having these records set up properly, is our challenge number 2. Challenge number 3 is not growing your email list. Let's just work off of a number of 100. If you have 100 contacts today and you're not actively adding more to your email list, in a year, you're going to be down to closer to 75. In 2 years, you're down closer to 50 because of email shrinkage. So people will unsubscribe, emails will bounce, meaning they're no longer active. People have moved jobs. They didn't update their email address with you, so you're sending to an old email address. If you're not growing your list is shrinking by an average of about 25% per year. So your reach will fade if you're not adding new contacts. Most small business owners don't have a plan to grow their list necessarily. So they are, either they import their list one time when they first create their email marketing list, and then they don't add to it after that. We see that a lot of times. We see when I go in and audit someone's email marketing, I see that their list name is, 2021 customer list import. And it's like, well, we're in 2025. What's happened in those last 4 years? Have you been adding to your list over those last 4 years? And most of the time, the answer is no. So there's some easy ways that you can do to fix not growing your email list. First is offer a lead magnet. Literally that screen that you just saw on my screen right there, the checklist. Oops, going forward. That checklist right there on my screen, this is a lead magnet. So this is something where we will have this available on our website. Because you guys are on the phone call, I'm not going to ask you for additional information to get it. But typically, if someone was just coming to our website, I would request that they give me their first name, their last name, their email address, and their company name in order to have access to that lovely handy cheat sheet that we've created. So that is going to, as I'm collecting that data is automatically going to go into our MailChimp account, and that person will be tagged with, technical setup. They'll be tagged with that. So I know exactly where they came from, how I got their email address, what download that they have already received from us. So growing our list we offer lead magnets, we offer webinars. When we go to networking events, we collect business cards. I know all of you are doing that as well. And just making sure that when you do collect that email address, you are sending an email response saying, hey, John, it was so nice to meet you at X event, and then add them to your newsletter list in MailChimp or Constant Contact, so you have that as well. Use sign-up forms on your website. You'll see at the very end of this PowerPoint, we're always going to have something that says, hey, go and sign up. If you're not receiving our newsletter, go to profusionwebsolutions.com/newsletter, and you're going to be able to sign up directly from our website. Promote your email list on social media. So whenever we send out something, we usually send to our email list first. So we give our email list, our subscribers, early access to any documents that we're creating. And then we put those out, a week or so later on our social. And we say something to the effect of, hey, if you wanted this earlier, sign up for our email list and you could have been one of the early subscribers to receive this content. So always incentivizing people signing up for your list. And then the last thing is just ask your existing customers to forward the content. So if you are sending to your existing customers, there's a way to ask for, is there someone else in your company that should be receiving this email also? Add their name to the list here, and it should take them to that subscription form on your website. So always be growing. It's kind of a mindset shift. Pardon my words there. To continually be growing that email list. Something you need to think about, because again, if you're not growing your list, just the natural shrinkage of your email addresses are going to continue to trend down. I saw someone chat in here. Got it. Okay. Great. Just making sure there's no questions there. Let's go on to challenge number 4. Before we go into challenge number 4, let's talk through. Here we go. This is a question we get asked all the time. It's, can't I just buy a customer list? So there are list brokers where you can ask, you can set specific areas where you can say, okay, I want to purchase people who are in real estate in this zip code that have 10 or more employees, and you can purchase those lists. They are available for purchase. Would we recommend it? Probably not. Purchase contacts, these people don't know who you are. So there is a high risk of that email being marked as spam, which can damage your sender reputation if you're sending directly to them. It's going to result in lower open rates and click rates, which again just means you're going to be sending out your email to folks, but it's going to be somewhat like shouting into a void, putting a billboard up in a desert, right? Where if people aren't opening it, the message isn't resonating because they don't know who you are. It's just not going to provide you necessarily with the amount of interaction or the lift that you're looking for. Instead of purchasing a list, focus on building your list from people who actually want to hear from you. Even a small, highly engaged list is going to outperform a large cold one every time. Use, again, like we talked about earlier, lead magnets, website sign-up forms, go to events, ask for referrals, and grow that list organically. You will see better results from that. There are lists that you can use if you're attending an event. If you're going to a trade show and they send you a list of people who are attending the trade show, all day long, I would use that list. I would send to that list and I would require them to opt in again. So I would send them a welcome information or a welcome email and ask them to engage with me so I know that they wanted to stay on my list. But that's not purchasing a list. That's obtaining a list of people who are, attending an event that's similar to you. So buying a list, probably not recommended. Using a list that is given to you from an event, from a chamber of commerce, from your local business resource hub, any of those might be viable. You just want to make sure that you are sending to folks that are interested and engaged. Okay, let's move on to challenge number 4 here. Weak content or no call to action. Again, this is why I kind of included that other slide on what to actually talk about in your newsletters, is because you never want to be to the point where you're simply sending a newsletter just to check a box because, I was told to send another email this week, and so I sent one out, although there was no real point to it. You don't want to just send out filler or information just to send out information. You definitely want to make sure there is a clear next step in the email that you're sending. That could be a book a call, read the blog, shop on our website, enter our giveaway, whatever it is, every email needs to have a purpose and a call to action in there. We like to do this with one message, one goal. There are times where our message will have multiple calls to action. I think even in the email that was sent out about this webinar, there was take a quiz and register for the webinar. So there's 2 different call to actions. I normally wouldn't send out 2 different call to actions, but it was around the same topic. So for us, it was kind of, you could get to the registration both ways. So for us, it was kind of the same thing, but typically it's going to be one message, one goal. For this, the message we just sent out, it was, we want you to come watch our webinar. We want you to come be educated at this webinar. So Send when you're creating your messages, even if it's during that manic time where you're creating 12 messages, go through and take a look at each and every message, even if it's a monthly newsletter. Okay, it's January's monthly newsletter. We're introducing a new product. What do we want people to do? We want people to come read the testimonials and the case studies for how that product was used. So you're going to set up the what is it and what is the goal? What is the call to action? Okay. The fifth challenge we see is not measuring effectiveness. And again, I just want to drive home that if you're sending emails from Outlook, if you're copying and pasting the email addresses into the Outlook BCC field, you're not going to be able to measure anything. All you're going to get is probably some occasional bounce back messages from the out of office responses from people, but you're not going to be able to see who clicked, what they clicked on, how many people opened. You're not going to get any of that. In order to get the measurements that we're talking about, you will need to be using some type of email marketing system. Most people only check open rates, which is the number of people that opened your email, which is a good number. That's something you do want to take a look at because it tells you if I send this to 100 people and 30 opened, the other 70 either didn't get it, the subject line wasn't hitting them hard enough, they were out of office, it went to spam. It gives you some level of idea of where you're at as far as grabbing the attention of your list. You also should be focusing on not only open rate, so did they open the email, but also take a look at the click-through rate. And again, if you're just sending a message that is just text-based and doesn't have a call to action, your click-through rate is going to be very low because obviously you're not going to have a book now or a read the blog or some kind of action for people to take on that email. So you want to make sure that you have that call to action in your email, even in text-based emails. And again, the email that I sent out, most of the emails that I send out are text-based, meaning they're not overly graphically produced. You don't see a big shiny header at the top. I wanted to get right to the point. They're not newsletter types with images all over. Our branding isn't all over it. It's really just as if I sat down to send you a message to let you know you're invited to this webinar. And by the way, here's the link to click on. In MailChimp, and that's a system we use, I can see which link you clicked on. I can see how many times you opened the email. I can see how many times you clicked on the link. So I can tell, how engaged every user is. And in fact, in MailChimp, they give engagement scores. So I can see which customers are 5 stars or which people on our list are 5 stars. And those are the folks that are highly engaged. They've opened the emails, they've clicked through on the emails. Maybe they've even opened it more than once. The last metric you want to look at is conversions. Now, conversions for us, it was people who registered for the webinar. So I could tell how many of the conversions actually were or actually took place. You might not have a conversion. Your conversion, your click through might have been the conversion, might have been the action you were looking for. You may have just wanted them to go read your blog post. So you might not have a true conversion like a shopping cart where they purchased the item. If you are sending out transactional emails, abandoned cart type emails, conversions are going to be key there because then you know exactly what metrics you can change if the conversions are low on that. And then run A/B tests. So some of you in this group that came to this webinar today, you guys had different subject lines. You had no idea, but there was different subject lines based on, we just did a random 50% split. So half of you guys got one subject line, half of you got the other. When we're done with this, we'll go back and through and see which one performed better. In fact, I think one had an emoji and one didn't. So we'll see if emojis have any, if they create any lift in this webinar. Obviously, you can't take it just on that alone, but it is interesting to see if you change a few words here and there, you change the call to action, you change what what some of the verbiage is, how much lift does that provide in open rates or click-through rates. And again, all of this is very easy to track when you're using something like MailChimp or Constant Contact. It cannot be tracked if you're sending directly from something like Outlook. I knew this question was going to get asked, so I figured I would just include it. What is a good open rate, click-through rate, and conversion rate? So I want to just, before we dive into any of these numbers, keep in mind these are all very broad averages, okay? Open rates, click-through rates, and conversions vary significantly depending on your industry, your audience size, your email type, and how engaged your list is. So a retail promotional email is going to have a way higher open rate than maybe your July newsletter would. Okay, so on average, open rates, so the amount of people that open it, your general average is going to be 21.33%. Okay, that's a pretty good open rate. A great open rate is going to be above 40%. Anything above 40, you are killing it. Your good range is 15 to 25. Your very good is 30 to 40. Click-through rate, that's the amount of people who they open the email and they click on something within it. General average, 2%. Again, that might feel a little bit disheartening if you're sending to a list of 100. You have, let's say you have 20 people that open it. Of those 20 people, 2% click through. And then of that, your conversion rate is only 2 to 5%. So again, you're seeing that it's not going to be an immediate, I'm going to send one email and the floodgates are going to open and I'm going to be, swimming in sales. It is just like anything with marketing. Email marketing is the long game. This is something where you're going to be continually sending this out. As you get more consistent with your emails, your open rates will go up, your click-through rates will go up. As you train your audience on what to expect, all of these numbers will go higher for you. So email marketing is not a once and done. We did it and it didn't work. It is just like, again, like any marketing. It has to be done over and over and consistently for it to work out for you. All right, challenge number 6, treating everyone the same. So this is what we see a lot of the times is when you're sending a one size fits all message. If you're sending the same message to everyone, you're missing a big opportunity. Someone who just found you yesterday isn't going to understand your business and shouldn't receive the same message as someone you've been talking to for 2 years. This is what we call segmentation. So you want to segment your list by whatever makes sense for your business. So we have customers that we've segmented into wholesale versus retail, into hosting customers versus web development customers, into customers that we do what's called the website 360, where we do all of the marketing. So we handle the website, the digital, we handle their email marketing, where we talk to those folks very differently than we talk to someone who just found out about us at a Chamber of Commerce meeting yesterday. So personalizing or segmenting and then personalizing those emails is really going to help increase those open rates. If you can use someone's name. So if you have a list where, you've gone through and you've massaged your data to where you have everyone's first name, last name, company name, and you can use that information intermixed into the message, that's simply going to help you increase your open rates and make sure you're sending messages that are more targeted to what they're actually interested in. Okay. It is, I will say, segmentation takes time, and continuing to make sure that your list remains segmented and you move people kind of along that funnel takes time, but it is absolutely worth it. This customer data, your database, is your gold mine. It is absolutely the place where you can make a huge difference in your marketing, but it does take time. This is one of our biggest sticking points when we're onboarding a new email marketing customer is when they send us their list, and their list is just a big, hairy, messy Excel spreadsheet that we then have to take the time to go through and say, okay, who is this person? What do they have from you? How have they engaged with you? And then making sure that we have all of that data so that we can import it and make sense of it. Now, you don't have to. You can always get started with just the email addresses and start sending to those folks, but it is going to make a huge difference if you're able to group by customer type, by interest or engagement, and then be able to personalize each of those messages. Your email platform has all of these tools built in. It's just a matter of taking the time to go through and actually do the segmentation. All right, go ahead and put your questions in if you have any. We'll just quickly recap these, but we're rolling to the end of this presentation here. So if you have questions, feel free to put those in the chat or into the Q&A section. I'll check both here in a second. But just to recap the top challenges that we talked through: inconsistent sending, technical setup issues. That one's the hardest. Again, that's the one where it's sneaky behind the scenes. You might not even know what's happening. Again, that PDF is going to be helpful for those who want to just check that out. And if you're watching this on replay, just send an email to patrice@profusionwebsolutions.com, and I'll make sure you get that PDF. Not growing your list was challenge number 3. Weak content or no call to action, challenge number 4. Not measuring results, and treating everyone the same. Those were the top 6 challenges that we went through today. All right, let's take a look at the questions here, see if we've got any that have come in. I don't see any at the moment. Just some requests for the PDF, which we will absolutely send out as soon as we get off this webinar. Well, I'm not going to make you sit here and wait any longer, but if you have any questions, all of our contact information is on the screen. I do highly encourage you to go, if you're an Instagrammer, head on over to our Instagram account, instagram.com. Our handle is Profusion Web Solutions. Follow us there. We do put out quite a few tips and tricks onto our Instagram directly. And again, this wouldn't be an email marketing webinar without me encouraging you to go to profusionwebsolutions.com/newsletter and sign up directly to receive our newsletter. We send out weekly, sometimes a couple times a week, depending on what's happening in the industry, but we try to make sure, like our presentation said, that it's super relevant and segmented information so you get what is interesting to you. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to talking with you on our next webinar.